Hello, I'm Jody Rubel, and I'm here with our second installment of the Boot and Library Tai Chi series. I hope that you had a chance to check out the first introduction, which was a lot of information about Tai Chi and alignment and just setting up the body so that we can enjoy and pursue our practice. Our endeavor, our objective is to do the first 13 of the 37 Yang posture Tai Chi form as taught by Chen Men Ching. So to begin, let's warm up again. We'll stand shoulder width, toes pointing forward, and just get into a nice good alignment, tall spine, and a nice relaxed dropping into the center of both feet. A dropping of the tailbone and a relaxation in the shoulders, a hollowing of the chest, and a plucking up of the back. Imagine an invisible cord tugging at the top of our heads, pulling us upwards as we release into the ground, dropping to a soft, relaxed waist. And once again, finding that sense of alignment into the center of the feet, and a peaceful dropping. Allow the eyes to be soft in their sockets so that our visual information can communicate with the brain, and slight bend of the knees, relaxed, slow breath into the lower abdomen. Just find your perfect balance without leaning forward or back, as if we're inside a pressurized ball that has equal pressure forward and back, side, and also connecting us and pulling us in at the angles. Good. And now imagine that we have an internal pulley system that allows us to drop, there's a weight and there's a pulley and there's two chains. So allow the inside track of the chain to pull down with a substantial weight. And as we do that, the arms are going to be on the other side of the chain and they're going to float up. Following the principles of an internal pulley. And the wrists draw back, and the palms open, and we catch the air. Slowly feeling the substance of the air as we come down. Let's do that a few more times. Slight bend in the knee. As the weight drops, the pulley in the front rises, drawing the arms up. Elbows get heavy. Fingers fill up, wrists soft, and feel the air like your hands are parachutes floating down. And again, dropping creates a floating in the front. Imagine your internal pulley system working. Feeling the mechanics of energy inside of our body. Feel the weight equally distributed between both feet. Continue pouring into the center of both feet. Feel the feet flatten out with that equalized pressure through all four corners of the feet. Almost feeling like they're glued to the ground. And then the roots follow even beyond the floor, 2 feet into the earth, 4 feet into the earth. And as we drop, we rise at the top of our heads. We're being pulled up, heaven bound. Breathing softly, breathing gently. Good. Now let's step a little wider, toes pointing forward, a more significant bend in our knees, a feeling of bounciness. And shift the weight into the right leg, turn the waist to the right, keep all the weight channeled straight into the center of the foot as we turn, and shift the weight to the left, pouring the weight into the center of the foot and turning at the waist, not at the shoulders, but at the waist. And we're going to crease the inner thigh here, creasing into the quad so that the knees are still forward. We don't like to twist our knees, we want to take care of them. Tai Chi is very, very good for all the joints and a deep study of how to use the joints properly. You can speed up a little bit, and the hands kind of just follow the movement of the waist, kind of like limp ropes turning on a sprocket. My central axis is between both feet. Let's get in touch with your axis. Feel it at all times. Your eyes, your nose, your belly are in line. This is called constant bear. Hips are level, and the waist is loose. Feet flat on the ground. Notice that my head is turning ever so slightly with the turn of the waist. So I'm not pronouncing the turn of my head. Everything's coming from the waist, and I'm just staying in line with my belly button. My belly button is turning just a few degrees, and my head is turning just a few degrees. Good, come up. Very nice. So next I'm going to take you through our bow stance, which is a very fundamental posture for our form. And this is also a warm-up called sculling. Actually, to begin, let's stand shoulder width, and let's drop all the way 100% to the right leg. Turn the waist, and the foot is going to follow because all our extremities are connected to the waist. The waist is the commander, and it moves the arms, it moves the head. So we're going to turn 45 degrees-ish, drop into the center of the left foot, keep the hips level, and we're going to preserve our shoulder width as we step the right heel forward, and then drop the foot and slowly pour up to 60% of the weight into the front leg. Good, and sit back, 100%. Maintain a nice vertical line so that we don't want to lean back, and we don't want to cave in a little bit. We just want to get a nice line, and we want to find and follow the center of the foot. So drop 60% into the front. Let the hips square up nice and straight towards Tai Chi North. Sit back. Feel how that dropping kind of bounces you forward. Dropping into the right leg 60%, kind of bounces you back. We're kind of building up what we call a drumming energy, dropping and bouncing, bouncing and dropping. And the idea here is to not have to add any energy to the equation. Once we get this body into motion, let's let it keep moving like a bouncing ball or a slinky going down the stairs. Notice the slight rotation of my forearms as I drop and sit back. A little bit of space under the armpit, maybe just enough to have a little blue jay egg under here. Good, and come back to shoulder width. Drop the weight 100% to the left leg, rotate on the right heel, drop into the right foot, step the left foot, preserving the shoulder width. Heel first, slowly pour the weight into the center of the left foot. Come forward up to 60%. Squaring the hips forward, and now sitting back 100%. Staying level like a skateboard, moving back and forth. Soften the hips. In Chinese, we would say Sung the Yao. And by the hips, I don't mean just the waist, and I don't mean just the groin area. I mean like from here to here, this whole area is called the Yao. 100% back, 60% forward. Using the palm, the bouncing energy, drumming our way back and forth. Take a break. Standing nice and tall. Let everything settle. Notice if your feet feel a little more connected to the ground, if there's a little more of a dropping that can occur, and if we're a little more in touch with what it means to relax all the joints and let the weight of the upper body, let's slowly pour, like cement almost, into our ankles, into the feet, rooting us. And notice that the heavier we are in our lower body, the lighter we are in our upper body. This could be the secret to flight. So we got pretty far in our last episode, and I'm going to run through that first section, which I think was all the way to the great rollback. So we'll go through that with some detail, and then continue further into our 13 postures. So to begin, our heels are together and our toes are at a 45-degree angles. Our top of our head is nice and tall, and our tailbone dropped, relaxed. Neither forward nor back. As straight a line as we can get. And keeping the hips level, drop 100% into the right leg. The left heel kind of pops off the ground, and we step a small step shoulder width, our toe pointing forward, slowly pour the weight into the left leg, and turn the waist forward, rotating on the right heel, squaring and rising. And as we rise, the hands float up, and the wrists draw back to the shoulders, elbows heavy, palms open, catching the air. We call this raising the power. And dropping 100% to the left leg, using our internal pulley system. As we drop on the left side, the right side begins to float up. When the right hand opens and we turn our waist, rotating on the right heel, dropping 100% of the weight into the right leg and forming a ball. Left hand scoops under, right hand on top. Begin turning the waist back to the north, east, and step the left heel forward, shoulder width, no weight. Now we're going to pour the weight by percentage, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%. Here, our left hand is parallel and the same height as the right hand. And now we're shooting for a 60% bow stance. So as we drop the last 10%, we rotate on the right heel, the right hand drops over the right thigh, and the left palm faces the chest. Now we're in a good ward-off left position, and that takes us into the first move of our form, ward-off left. The weight is 60%, and now drop 100% to the left leg. As you do, form a ball, left hand over right, come up on the right toe, and slowly turn the waist to the east. Step the right foot to the east, the heel where the toe was, empty at first, and then slowly pouring the weight 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. By the time I'm at 50%, my right hand is risen to shoulder height. And then the last 10% to make it 60%, I'm going to rotate on the left heel and square. Heavy elbows, a little bit of space underneath the armpits. The fingers of my left hand are shooting over the ridge of my right hand. This is also called catch a sparrow by the tail. I drop even more into the right foot as I turn my waist to the southeast corner. And as I sit back, the right hand is going to rise and the left hand drops under the right elbow as if catching a drip. I'm 100% to my left foot here, and then I'm going to turn to the northeast, rotate the left hand around. And when I get to the top, I'm slowly begin to pour the weight into the right leg again. Palms together and press. 60% of my weight is in the front leg in a good bow stance that we covered earlier. Sit back as in sculling, 100%. Come forward slowly as I do, up to 60%. Rotate the palms and push. And now sit back 100% as you do. Extend the hands forward, 100% to the left leg. Good. So that covers a ward-off left, catch a sparrow by the tail, or the great rollback, which is also known as ward-off right. Ward-off left looks like this, and ward-off right looks like this. 60% in the front leg. Good. After the great rollback, we did a press and then a push. So those are our essential moves so far. And now we're going to prepare for single whip, which is a doozy of a move. So let's break that down for you. We're in a good 60-40 bow stance. 60% of our weight is in the front leg. We sit back and the hands extend forward, 100% in the left leg. And now with my waist, I'm going to turn, rotating on the right heel as far to the north as I can. I want to get my toe It's a little uncomfortable when I get my toe all the way to the north. And as I do, I'm going to form a hook with my right hand. And I'm going to flip my left palm up to the ceiling. Good. So from another angle, so that you can see my hands a little better, as I sit back and rotate on my right heel, I'm going to form a hook with my finger. And the hook looks like all four fingers are connected to the thumb, and there's a significant bend to my wrist. Over time, that bend becomes easier and easier. So don't force it. Just put the idea, a little idea of bending over. And on my left hand, it's going to flip, and then I'm going to bring both hands in towards my center line, almost as if I'm holding a tea bag with my right hand and a teacup with my left, and I bring it into the center. Good. So from our regular orientation to the east, I'm in push, I sit back 100%, I rotate on my right heel, turn the toe all the way to the north, I form a hook with my right hand, I flip my left hand as if I'm holding a teacup, and right now my weight is in my left leg 100%. I'm going to shift the weight 50-50, and that's going to draw both the tea bag and the teacup into my center line towards my belly button. And as I shift the weight into the right leg, it's going to veer a little bit to the inside of my right thigh. And I am going to swivel on the left toe and release the hook into the northeast corner. My left palm is facing my belly at this point. And I'm going to take a wide step, shoulder width. Slowly pour the weight into the left leg, 10%, 20%, 30%. Notice my left hand is rising with the percentage of weight. When I get to 50%, I save my last 10% to rotate on my right heel, open the left palm, and square to the west. So I have 60% in the left leg. My tailbone is dropped. Both feet are connected flat to the ground. My hook is jutting out directly to the north, and my left palm is facing the west. My left elbow is nice and heavy and in front of my body. And I am now in single whip. So the elbows are they moor us and they connect the arms to the hips. So they're almost like sitting in the hips. And we're always carrying an imaginary chi ball. So go back into your standing position, and for a moment, just imagine that you're holding a very big marble ball, and it's extremely heavy, and it's kind of sinking down into the ground with its weight. And your arms are rounded and under it, and your whole body is trying to get under the weight, not over it. And we're keeping it out in front of us. So this ball of chi that we're gathering constantly is in front of our body, and therefore our elbows are always in front of our body. From a martial point of view, it's also very useful to have the elbows in front of the body. The elbows are all the way back here. If someone were to push you, you wouldn't be able to connect your shoulders in with the rest of the body, and you wouldn't be able to push back. But if my arms are forward already, someone pushes me, I can just bounce them back. But once I open up here, I'm kind of very vulnerable, as you can see, as I'm fighting with an imaginary opponent, which is usually ourselves. So let us go back to ward off left. And that's a good bow stance, left foot forward, left palm facing the chest, right hand floating over the right thigh, and we drop 100% into the left leg, form a ball, turn the waist, step shoulder width, right foot forward, slowly pour the weight into the right leg, the right hand rises, and then when we're 50%, rotate on the left heel and square forward, 60% of the weight in the right leg now, turning the waist to the southeast corner, sitting back. The right hand rises, left hand catches a drip. This is the great rollback. I'm 100% in the back leg. I turn the waist now to the northeast corner, and that allows me to swivel around my heavy elbow joint. I circle the arm around. It gets to the top. It flops a little bit. I begin pouring the weight into the right leg, and I square, press the hands together at 60% of the weight in the right leg. Sit back 100%, and come forward, rotating the palms into push. Notice my elbows are in front of my body. Leave the hands as if connected to an invisible piano keys as you sit back. And the hands get drawn out, the arms get long. Rotate from the waist, from the commanding action of the waist, rotate on the right heel. The right toe faces north. My hook forms. My left palm opens to the ceiling, holding an imaginary teacup. I bring the tea bag and teacup into my central line as I drop the weight 50-50. And now as I'm all coiled up here, I can feel the tension. I'm going to release it. It's all the way into the right leg, sending the hook out and swiveling on the left toe. My left palm faces my dantian, my belly. I step wide, shoulder width, heel first, slowly pour the weight 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. The left hand rises. 60, I rotate on my heel. I square my left palm facing forward. My hook arm is out to the north, in line with my back. So from this angle, let me do it from the west, just to give you another view. But remember, it is a west-facing pose. So I sit back, I rotate on the right heel, I drop into the right foot, I form my hook, I drop 100% into my right leg, hook sent into the corner, palm facing chest, stepping wide, slowly pouring as I do. The left hand rises, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and now 60, palm opens, and the hook remains in line with my shoulders, facing north. Good. And that is single whip. Nice. Any questions? But please do send any questions to me. I'll give you my email and my phone. If anything comes up during your practice, just give me a text or call and we can discuss any questions you may have. So let us continue from single whip. This is a good bow stance, which means we have 60% of the weight in our front leg. Our tailbone is dropped. The top of my head is being pulled up by an imaginary cord. And my hook is facing the north. There's my hook right there. And my left palm facing the west. I'm going to slowly drop my weight into the left leg 100%. And as I do, I'm going to release the hook and open the palm to the west. Good. Now I'm 100% in the left leg. I turn the waist. I'm going to keep my right hand oriented to the north, outstretched. I turn my waist, I drop my heel, and I am in a good play guitar position. My left palm is oriented to the right elbow, and my hips are open to the north as much as I can. So let me again demonstrate from the wrong side of the room. I'm going to pour the weight. Right now I'm 60% of the front leg. I'm going to pour 100% into the left leg. I release my palm, my hook, I open the palm to the wall. I slowly turn as if I'm compressing or squeezing a ball together. And that compression helps me lift up my right foot, drop the heel in line. My right heel is in line with the left heel. And I am squared to the north as much as I can. My right hand is forward of my left palm face oriented to the right elbow. Good, and there's this sense of the hands floating, following that idea of the internal pulley system. The more I drop into the left foot, the more elevation the hands have, or a sense of buoyancy. Good, and now actually let me get back to the right orientation, which is to the north. So I'm in a good play guitar stance, and my feet are at right angles. My left toe is facing the west, and my right toe is facing the north. And I'm slowly going to allow my hands to drop using gravity. And I'm going to pick up my right toe and bring it to my left heel. I'm going to turn the waist slightly to the west. And my hands swing back. And then they're going to swing back towards the north. I step the right foot forward, still along that right angle line. And I slowly pour 60% of the way into the right leg, turning the waist to the north. So this position that I just described is called shoulder strike. And let me show you from this angle, which is my south, but let's imagine that it's your north. I'm in a good play guitar position. My feet are at right angles. I let the arms drop using gravity, and they swing back, and it pulls the foot back, and now they're going to use momentum to glide back to the north. I slowly pour the weight up to 60% into my right leg, turning the waist, flattening my palm to the ground, slight crook in my elbow as I square. This is called shoulder strike. So 60% of the right leg. Remember, drop tailbone. Remember, nice tall spine. Remember to breathe gently into your lower belly. Shoulder strike. Good. So let's go from push and see if we could run through that sequence till shoulder strike. I know this is an amazing amount of information and some rather odd configurations of our arms. I mean, they're actually not that odd if you think about the movements of nature and how the Taoist monks would, spend literally decades in caves and just really like attune themselves to the rivers and the pools and the wind and the seasons and just watching how the leaves fall and how sometimes they spin and they become like helicopters, or sometimes they just fall and wave. So this art was, largely based on the movements of nature and of animals. And that natural spiraling that I was alluding to with the falling of objects of the leaves, the pooling of water, is a very fundamental idea to what we're doing. Every time we take a turn, and there's a number of turns in the sequence, we just drop down our center line and allow that natural rotation, that spiraling to occur. And because it is fall, let us really allow that spirit of sinking and falling and spiraling into our practice. So from push, 60% of the weight is in our front leg, and we're going to sit back 100%, fingers extended. Rotating on the right heel, we turn the waist so that the right toe faces north. We form a hook with our right hand, and we flip the left hand, palm facing ceiling. And as we shift the weight 50-50 into our right leg, we also bring the tea bag and the teacup into our center line. And then as we shift into the right leg, we kind of uncoil Sending the right hook into the northeast corner and stepping all the way to the west, toe pointing west, slowly pouring the weight into the left leg, and the left hand rises, rotating on the right heel, opening the palm, and squaring 60% in the left leg, single whip. Let's shift the weight 100%, coming forward into the left leg without leaning, without allowing the left knee to go over the center of the foot, but simply to drop into the center of the left foot. And that creates a natural spiral. And follow that spiral, turn the waist, drop the right heel, no weight as we square to the north. This is play guitar, let the hands swing back, slight turn of the waist to the northwest, and step to the north, slowly pour the weight, allow the waist to naturally rotate all the way to the north, and shoulder straight. So in shoulder straight, our left palm is facing the ground, and our right arm is slightly cut. So yeah, that spiraling, there's many instances of where we can drop down our central axis and feel like, almost like we're a marble going down a spiral staircase, and just let that kind of tornado kind of energy sweep us into the next move. I'll show you from the wrong side again. Going from single whip into play guitar. It's simply the dropping into the left leg. And remember, not allowing the knee to go over the center of the foot, getting the weight directly into the foot that lets the marble rotate, roll around and turn. So this is what we mean by wu wei, or non-doing. And if I were to kind of like force it and do it, it would look like this. Like I am turning my body and stepping. But rather we want it to do itself. So the key to that is to be like a leaf in nature, like a little helicopter leaf, dropping and allowing that natural rotation to occur, so that nothing is done and yet everything is done. Right? Sweet. And continue dropping into the left foot, which helps us turn the waist just a little bit, swinging the arms and swinging the foot and the arms back into shoulder straight. 60% in the right leg, top of the head suspended, breathing quietly and slowly, long, gentle breaths. Okay, so I am happy to go on to the next move because you're all doing so well. So from shoulder strike, we're going to do a very eloquent and beautiful move called White Crane Spreads Its Wings. And this move encapsulates the idea of spiraling, but this time spiraling upward, which is unique because gravity usually pulls us down. But we're going to use gravity to allow it to almost wave-like coil up and then rise in a kind of spiraling direction. So I'm facing the north. I am in shoulder strike. My feet are at right angles, so my left toe is facing the west and my right toe is facing the north. 60% of the weight is in my right leg. Now I'm going to drop 100% of the weight into my right leg. As I do, my right arm is going to float up, still having the idea of having a heavy elbow and not engaging the shoulder. And I drop into the right foot. I begin to turn, and the back of my palm faces my forehead. My hips are squared to the west as much as I can without twisting at the right knee. So let me demonstrate this to you from, again, easier to see angle. I'm going to go into shoulder strike. 60% of the weight is on the right leg, and now I'm going to drop 100%. I come up on the left heel, and my arm floats up. Still idea of heavy elbow and quiet shoulders. As I drop, I'm able to pull the internal pulleys, and so dropping is going to lift my arm, and then I turn my waist to the west, and I step my left toe in close to my right heel, and square as much as I can without turning my knee. So I don't want to compromise this good straight knee over the center of the foot. And I'm turning from the hips. I am creasing the quad of my inner right thigh, and my hips are level and relaxed. Kind of sitting into the saddle of my hips, even though I'm standing for this form quite tall. This is the tallest stance. Most everything is sinking and basically sitting while moving. And here we're gonna break the rule a little bit and stand nice and tall. Notice that there's a bit of a spiraling, rotating action here. So as I drop into the foot, I spring back up and spiral out to the west, the back of my palm facing the chest, so that if someone were to strike me, I'd be able to catch it with my wrist. Catch and then deflect. Good. White crane spreads its wings. And again, from the proper orientation, shoulder strike, dropping into the center of the right foot, the right hand rises, stepping the left toe in, opening to the west as much as we can, and keeping the right knee in the direction of the right foot. So we don't want to twist to get over to the west with our upper body. We just turn as much as we can. And now, ladies and gentlemen, allow the elbow to get even heavier. Allow the right hand to kind of chop down, falling with gravity. Follow that arc. Turn the waist to the north. Allow the arm to circle around. And when it gets to the top, the hand flops a little bit at the wrist. Begin turning back to the northwest. And step for shoulder width, left toe pointing to the west. Your hips are still open to the northwest. Save the waist turn. So slowly pour the weight into the left leg, and the left hand becomes very lively. And when we have 50% of the weight in the left leg, we're going to swivel on our right heel square, and we're going to allow our left hand to move to the outside of the left thigh. That is called brush knee. It's a 60% into the front leg posture, and perhaps I should show you from another angle. So let's take it from shoulder strike, 60% of the weight in the right leg, and now 100. The right arm comes up as we transition into white crane. White crane spreads its wings, turning to the west. Right palm facing the forehead, and now allowing the arm to chop down, following the fall of the arm, turning in the direction of the right foot to the north, circling, flopping at the wrist, begin turning back just a little bit, step the left foot to the west, slowly pour the weight, and now when I have 40, 50%, 55% of the left leg, I square, and I allow the left hand to go to the outside of my left thigh and brush knee. 60% of the weight is in the left leg, and my back heel, although it only has 40%, is glued to the ground. See how the chi ball is expressed in the front of the body. The elbows are in front of the body, holding a chi ball, and they're not back here. So they're kind of riding on the waist, because the waist is what is going to move the arms. Brush knee number 1. Very nice. So, that was a lot of work. Let's shake out our wrist a little bit. Let us shake out our ankles, loosen them up. This is really an endeavor to open up the joints and let the energy flow through them, as if our bodies are empty hose that can pull the energies through it. And we're basically taking the kinks out by opening the joints, or also known as the gates. There are 9 gates in the body: wrist, elbow, shoulder, tailbone, knees, ankles. There's a point at the top of the neck, and there's also the final joint on top of the head, the crown joint. The crown jewel of our practice, really. We seek to generate and pull the energy around and up, and then back down again. Sometimes referred to as the microcosmic orbit. So, while we're warming up, and while we're cooling down a little bit and just releasing, I want to invite you to do a little more of the ice walking that we touched upon last week. 100% on the left leg, and slowly placing our right foot on the floor. 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, up to 100% into the right leg. Dropping directly into the center of the foot. And then our left leg is not going to step, because we don't want to do anything. We just want to swing the left foot forward like a saloon door. Dropping slowly into the left foot, like pouring sand into an hourglass. And then when we get 100% in the left leg, swing the right foot forward. The more effortless we can get, the better. Like, my floor was rice paper. If I could walk without disturbing any of the rice, then I would know that I've achieved a certain level of mastery. For those of you who are old enough to remember Kung Fu. And slowly pouring the weight of one foot into another, as if we're walking on a frozen bed of ice, and we're testing the water, and we're testing the ice to make sure that we don't fall through. So we're almost cautious in our movements, stepping with the flat of our feet for this exercise. Hips are loose, relax. You can change directions and step softly. Be very soft with your body. Treat the joints kindly. There's nothing hard or rigid about this. There's no gripping or tension. It's just falling into the center of your feet. So that's where the precision comes. We want to really land into the center, keeping our nice vertical alignment. We don't want to do this kind of thing. Even subtly, we want to keep our line nice and vertical. Basically, Tai Chi is learning how to walk again, how to breathe again, kind of becoming that newborn baby with the tall spine and the easy breath and the easy smile. For us, to have the opportunity to reclaim that childlike energy. Wonderful. So let's get back to our form. I'm going to go from the beginning and move at a little more moderate pace and take us all the way to white crane spreads and swings, and then brush knee one and see where we're at. So heels together, toes at a 45-degree angle, top of the head suspended, tailbone drop, and settling into the center of the right foot. Step the left foot shoulder width, toe pointing to the north, dropping into the left foot 100%, and spiraling, turning at the hips, rotating on the right heel, facing the north, and the arms rise. And drawing the wrists back, heavy elbows, palms open. Keeping the hips level, drop 100% to the left leg and the right hand rises. Turning the waist and turning at the heel. Settle to the east, forming a ball. Turn the waist back to the northeast, slowly, or the way. The left hand rises, right hand falls. At 50% rotate on the right heel and square. 60% of the front leg, ward off left. Continue 100% to the left leg, form a ball. And step shoulder width to the east. Slowly pour into the right leg, the right hand rises. Swivel on the left heel and square. Ward off right. Continue turning to the south, east, and sit back. The right hand rises. The left hand catches a drip under the right elbow. Turning the waist again to the northeast. Circle the arm around the elbow. 100% of the weight is in the left leg. Circle, flop the left wrist, and slowly pour. And press both hands together. Remember that the right heel doesn't go beyond the center of the foot. 100% into the center of the back foot, into the left foot. Not into the heel, but the center, and now bounce back, forward, pushing. An invisible elephant. Keep the fingers connected to the elephant as you sit back. And 100% of the left leg, rotate on the right heel. Turn the waist, toe pointing north. Form your hook. Turn the palm up to the ceiling. And bring your teacup and your tea bag into your central line as you shift the weight into the right leg. And now 100% of the right leg sends the right hook to the corner. Swiveling on the left toe, step wide. Slowly pour the weight up to 60% in the left leg. And open the palm, squaring to the east, into the west. Dropping 100% to the left leg. Release the hook, open the palm, and turn the waist to the north. This is play guitar, and now let the arms swing. And step the right foot to the north into shoulder strike, turning the waist to the north as much as possible. Now 100% to the right leg, the right hand rises, uncoil to the west, bring your left toe in, white crane spreads and swings. Let the right hand fall. Follow the arc of the right hand all the way. Hips turning to the north. Circle the hand around. Lock at the wrist. Turn back to the northwest. Step to the west. Shoulder width. Pour the weight slowly into the left leg. And square back. You're now 60% in the front leg. And brush knee. And the left hand is on the outside of the left thigh as if sitting on an armchair. Both elbows are in front of the body. And the hips are soft and relaxed. Good. Very nice. So I would like to keep going because we're doing so well. So from brush knee 1, we are going to go into play guitar 2. And the difference in play guitar 2 versus play guitar 1 is that we are oriented to the west. And play guitar 1, we're oriented to the north. So establish a good bow stance, 60% of the weight in the left leg. And I'm going to ask you, actually, this will make this pose so much easier if you can find a little book or some kind of piece of paper and step your right foot on the book. And what we're going to do is we're going to shift 100% of our weight into the left leg without allowing the knee to go over. So we're going to go straight down. And as we do, we pick up the right foot, we lift it off the ground completely, and we turn the toe to the north. And we set back the foot precisely in the spot that we picked it up from. So that's why I had you put the book down so you could locate that spot. Sit into the right leg 100%, and as you do, the left hand is going to arc up, and the left foot is going to rise and drop at the heel. So I can release the book now and enjoy play guitar. The second play guitar. Good, 100% in the right leg. Feet are at a right angle pose, and my hips are open to the west as much as I can manage without torquing the right knee. So my right knee is lined up directly over my right foot and pointed in the direction of the right toes, which is to the north. So any movement, a lateral movement, is going to come solely from the opening of my hips and not from the twisting of my upper body or the twisting of my feet. Again, so if I can't open all the way, then I will modify it. But if I can open, I have my knee religiously directed towards the direction of my right foot, which is to the north in this case. And any kind of opening is a hip opening and not a shoulder turn, which we call a twist, which is a bad word in Tai Chi. A Tai Chi, which is a practice that doesn't judge negatives and positives, good and bad, except when it comes to twisting. Only in twisting is there a feeling of duality. So let's be very cautious not to twist. And that means if we can't open up all the way, we can't open up all the way. But we don't compromise that. So again, from brush knee 1, we're going to drop 100% into the left leg, pick up the right foot, and notice my body is completely vertical. My knee is still bent. A lot of people are inclined to rise to do this, but if anything, we're going to sink just a little more to get 100% into our left leg. We pick up the right foot, and we don't move it except to turn the toe to the north. We drop into the right foot. Now we've set up our right angle, and as we come, the left arm and the left foot are going to come up at the same moment, and we're going to close the width a little bit so that the heel is now lined up. My left heel is now lined up with the right heel, while before it was a little wider. Settle here, play guitar 2. And now I'm going to turn my waist to the northwest and allow my right arm to circle around, to flop, and I step with my left foot, slowly pouring the weight into the left leg. When I get 50%, I rotate on the right heel, I square forward, and I allow my left hand to cross to the outside of my left thigh. And I am in brush knee 2. So to review the sequence, I'm just going to loop it around. Imagine that we're in brush knee 1. I come forward, pick up my right foot, set the toe to the north. I sit back, and my elbows are heavy. My left hand and my left foot rise. Left heel touches the ground just for balance, and I'm going to play guitar. And I turn my waist to the northwest, circle the arm around the elbow joint, flop, and I step again wide, shoulder width, slowly pour the weight, 20, 30, 40, 50. I rotate on the right heel. Now I'm 60% in the front leg and brush knee. I'll show you from this vantage. I'm sorry, from the brush knee 1. I come 100% into the left foot without rising, without leaning. Pick up the right foot and just set the toe to the north. Sit back, drop into the center of the right foot. And the left hand and the left arm rise. Turning the waist to the north. The right hand circles around the elbow joint. It flops. I begin turning back to the west. I step wide enough, shoulder width now for a good bow stance. When I'm 50% in the left leg, I turn, and the left hand is on the outside of the left thigh. Brush knee number 2. One more time in this loop. Come forward 100%. Come forward 100%. Pick up the right foot, step the toe to the north. Drop 100% into the right leg, and feel almost like you're a windmill, and you're getting the wind is coming in, and you're a circular mill. So the wind comes in, the weight, or even better, a water wheel. So the weight crashes in, and the wheel circles around it up. And we are in play guitar. Our hips open to the west as much as we can, keeping the knee nice and stable. Good, and turning the waist to the north, circling the right arms. Notice that my elbow is heavy, it doesn't rise. I'm at the shoulder, so it circles. The shoulder doesn't become engaged at all. I step for a good bow stance, shoulder width, pour the weight, rotate on the right heel, square, drop, and relax into the posture. Good. So that takes us 2/3 of the way, or perhaps a little more, into the first third of the form, which I wanted to get through for you today. The next installment will be the last several moves of the first third of the 37 posture form that is called Yang style Tai Chi as taught by Tai Chi. So for our last few minutes, let's run through the entire sequence, and this time without talking. I know it's going to be a little tricky, but I've done plenty of talking already. So let's just enjoy our form and get soft with it and relax as much as you can. And for this last one, focus on that, on the easy, breezy feeling of Tai Chi. And don't worry so much about the precision at this point. We've already kind of beaten that into, so we can just have fun with it. And remember, this is a very, very circular, very hip focus, lower body focus activity. You see a lot of movement in the arms, but the arm movement is basically an illusion. The arms really, as we say, do nothing. It's all coming from the ground. So if I were to do it from like that same move from upper body, it would just look like me waving my hand through the air meaninglessly, but as soon as I connect the whole body with my motion, it becomes a full body experience. Also, a martially sound action. So people see you move like this, and they're going to think twice about attacking you. Well, if you're just going like this, it's not so. That kind of windmilly action isn't so intimidating. Not that we want to scare anyone, but we just want to move from our core, move from our center. Good. All right, so now we'll run through the entire sequence in silence. Weight distribution is 60% in the left leg, tailbone drops, top of the head suspended. Feeling the flatness of the feet, feeling the weight pouring into the center of both feet. Breathing softly. Thank you, my friends. And next week, we will meet again.